There we go. We are back for Game 3, Vanir versus X7. This could be such an important game for Vanir to actually gain some ground. X7 to redeem themselves. Ooh.
I don't know if it's about redemption for X7. I think it was a really valid effort from Bifrost to take them down.
By far, yeah.
Apparently, Anita, you can take the link.
I can do that too, yes. I'm fairly sure that I remember to click the mic thingy at that point, but yes.
Yes?
What was said, which was off mic, is the fact that, yeah, no, actually X7, do they need to redeem themselves? Well, we already talked about it in the pregame a little bit. The Game 7 draft, their 7th game draft was really cool, and they had a really good game. It's just that Bifrost had such a much better one somehow, some way, and they hit the top of the tree.
I would like to have that microphone right there delivered to Trouble, if she's still muted, just to make sure that she can participate on the conversation
Hello?
as well.
Hello?
Are you back?
You gonna drop some sick beats for us?
You're back. I mean, we have solutions for
sick
everything,
mixtape.
guys. Come on, we
Okay.
got it. Welcome back, Trouble.
Are we good now?
I think you're good. Which means the
Hello?
Champion Select is on right now. So,
I'd sing a song, but DMCA, you know.
man, by the way, your feedback at the beginning of this segment was amazing. I'm so sad the guys didn't
Thank
hear.
you.
Like
Yep.
it was like
I
perfect
learned so
analysis.
much.
Yeah. So Caitlyn is going to be removed on this ban. So what could we be looking for? Vanir versus X7. Which lanes is the one to go for?
I think what could be problematic right here is Sahira's champion pool versus Tempt and Haru that tend to play together very much, right? So from what we know right now, Sahira plays a lot of Ryze and a lot of Victor, and how is Tempt and Haru going to break that? They're most likely going to try to play something that dives a lot and disrupts the mid lane, especially when there's immobile champions. My mind goes straight to Dianas, the Hecarim's, the Vexes, all that kind of stuff.
I have a really fun stat for you, Artrom. Did you know there are 2 junglers with more than 50% first blood rate?
Nice one,
And
nice
then
one.
Noodle and Haru. See, I didn't know that at the start of the day. I knew Noodle was one of them. Didn't know about the other one. But anyway, these 2 junglers, the more you learn. Imagination. The more that these junglers get involved into the game, the more I'm afraid for their enemy teams, right? So actually seeing both of these early game powerhouses butting heads against each other. It's really interesting to see. So yes, we can talk about Sahiro because obviously that plays into the mid-jungle matchup. We saw in the very last game, right, how hard it was to play against just a capitulating mid-jungle 2v2. You can get farm, you can try and scale up, but it needs to start from there. There's control tower at the center of the map.
Can I be blunt? Can I be straight up honest? 2 microphones? I don't know if the world can handle that. Hey, hello, Gilbert. What I want is Nata on the real carry from beginning to end. I don't want him on the Senna. Not because I don't like the
if
Senna.
Lulu gets locked in, probably
Yeah,
gonna be an
give me
Aphelios, a
something
Jinx.
like real.
I think to be fair here, even if you don't lock in a carry, even if you don't lock in the Jinx or the Aphelios, you get to pick one or the other. But here, because the jungle has already been locked in from the side of Vanir, you can just pick your bot lane and then pick your jungle third, even in the second rotation, if you will.
And this opens up kind of like what we're seeing in the first couple of weeks of the NLC in terms of what's being blind picked, what's being counter picked. First pick Jin Zhao. There are answers to it. You can have stuff like the Trundle. That's definitely one of the big answers. Poppy's also not bad into it either, right? Stop that E coming through. The question is, what about Senna? I think right here, as long as you have the top side to work with it from Vanir, that's definitely an option. But like looking at X7, I'm looking actually, are you going to have to save your mid until 4th pick? You're going to have to save either your mid or your jungler, and that's going to have to be a champion pool hit, even though you should have a counter matchup.
So Jin is going to be utility-wise, but a little bit more utility than the Senna we've been having so far. It just doesn't work so far. Who knows in the future?
I just really like the Jin here because they're pretty much going to forfeit the pressure in the bottom. And I think Jin is one of the safest champions to do that with. You sort of fall back, you can farm, you can allow your Janna to roam around the map as well.
That is locked.
So I really like the Janna in this particular position and not next to the Caitlyn, because here the Janna can actually roam and can assist together with the Xin Zhao on the rest of the map. Now, what was really good is because we said Haru and Tempt are going to most likely go for all-in champions to disrupt the mid lane. What Janna does very well into the late game is disrupt them from getting into the back line. So once Hecarim is in, you throw him back out, it's really hard for them to
Okay,
get
then
him.
another aspect of that is Lulu can struggle versus other enchanters. She's a very low range for an enchanter. Long gone are the days of Faker's Season 5 mid lane Lulu, where you were a real lane bully, especially with health picks level 1, very high base damage. Janna can very much bully out a Lulu and put them into dangerous positions. When you've got the Jhin there too, lots of ability to execute in lane. So while Jinx Lulu is a strong duo, there are openings there to stop you from running forward and actually catch you on the off chance as well.
Finally get a hold of the second band. Tell me about it.
Here, I would possibly like a Rise ban, if possible. If they're going to target Sahira, I would like
I've never
to
seen
take...
Sahira play that champion. What are you talking about?
Or his Syndra, I was about to say. He has the Syndra available after the Rise. I think Rise, a short-ranged mage, is really good to protect the Jhin if they ever get into the backline. And of course, we mentioned about Tempt and Haru playing the Hecarim and the Vex. Even on the pre-show at the very beginning, it was their day one composition. This would look very, very, very similar because they had a
we can only be
Lulu
so
bot
smart.
lane. They had a Fellows Lulu in the bot lane and Nata was able to pop off completely. Now they have the Lulu Jinx, which does a very similar job. Haru again on the Hecarim wanted to dive the backline. Now what do you choose to dive together with you? And that could very well be a Corki. Mind you, Jaeger has also played the Akali, and Akali is up for grabs, and you have R5. So you could have a bunch of champions diving in.
But now you've picked effectively the weakest pre-6 mid-jungle 2v2 you possibly can. Hecarim loses almost every 2v2 in the game before they get their ultimate. Corki, very weak in lane as well in a lot of ways, because you farm up, you survive, but you don't really do much until you've got that ultimate, and then you can start pushing out waves even against harder matchups like an Orianna or a Victor or whatever at that point. And now, if you're going to have to play into an Ori that already outranges you, you're going to get bullied off the wave. You've got a Jinzao that's backed up, particularly by something like a mage like the Orianna, which does harry you a lot in the laning phase. I'm worried for X7 playing through these star players. They might just play a Diffit, but the champions they've got in these matchups, not looking pretty.
Okay, they finish it up. Yeah, there we go. This is a massive AoE team fight comp with Jhin on the other
Same
side
story,
of the map.
different champion.
There we
Okay,
go.
they opted to go for the Victor again versus the Corki. Sorry, the Xerath versus
blue
the
dude.
Corki.
The other
we
blue
have
dude.
not yet to see it succeed. They were very close yesterday, but Ocean Soul completely disrupted their plans. Here, it could be a completely different story. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Akali being picked here for Jaeger because they need something to play through strong side of the map
That's nice.
on the top side. But
Oh, okay, fair play. I shouldn't talk about
We'll like
hovers,
that.
but like both the things that they hovered like are something which eventually just kind of just ignores the GP, either in the Chinbase
the
case of
backline.
just killing you, or the Malphite of walking past you, becoming rock, and then just dunking
And
the
solid.
backline. And very solid. I hear their rocks are indeed actually not liquid or gas. But yeah, you got that Malphite, who is now a... I'm sorry, Archeron. You've got a dive buddy for the Hecarim. You've got the Malphite alongside them. Yeah.
It would be very blunt for me to say that I do really enjoy Vanir's composition, even though this time they have again chosen to play long-range carries with the Xerath and the Jhin. They have other ways of putting down the damage. They have the Gangplank and they have the Zinza, which can output much more damage than just 2 tanks in their teams. So I do really like their composition so far, because whoever dives in the backline, if Jana is able to keep them alive together with the Zinza, I feel like they've got what it takes to turn around a fight.
They're also between a rock and a Haru place.
Oh my!
There we go.
Just
And
go
the team
casters, please.
compositions are already done. Will Vanir be able to defeat X7? Is X7 a liquid or solid state? I don't know, but please, the brother of this guy should tell me.
Yeah, tell him. I'm gonna hurt him. He's gonna come over here. There is a slap waiting for that horrific bun. In fact, let's recognize look at my aim like. Oh, close, but too close. Okay, I'm gonna get drawn with production for that one. Not doing that one again. All right, well, anyway,
we don't have an HR.
all right, back to the game. I've assaulted my brother with a pen. I might have had this from... Thank you, Archeron. You're the best. See, this is amazing. Thank you, buddy. Bringing it back momentarily, we've got ourselves a bit of a dive comp, I think it's fair to say.
We have
interesting stuff.
That's the thing. And I would like to say that we had an interview with Singularity Coach Monday, and he has themed this composition the Bomba Comp, where it's just about hitting the enemies without ever fighting them on a front to back. You have the Gangplank, you have the Seraph, and you have the, what's he called again? He's called Jhin.
There you go, well done. I was like, where we go? Oh, he's here. Sothoch, Destroyer of Worlds, Devourer of Breadcrumbs. Here to murder us all. Look into those eyes.
And,
you know he's after you.
And the other thing is, though, this is a battle of two, as you said yourself, you set up it up very beautifully with the two different stylistics we have in these two compositions, because this is a battle of the two different stylistic. As a team composition fighting front to back or just fighting straight up team fight ahead of you, X7, they will just always win. So Vanir's way of attacking you is having a good amount of ground in between you and making sure that you are never in an extended team fight. It's always just about poking the carries down with the ultimates of Vanir.
Absolutely, and again, you've got the Hecarim, you have got your cavalry there, but Vanir's job here is to make it literally the charge of the Light Brigade. Make it as absolutely hard to get onto that backline as you possibly can.
But I like the adaptations as well from X7 in terms of draft, because the Jhin came out fairly early in the draft, and when you do that, you know quite often you want to play for a carry up towards the top side. So what X7 did is that they saved their last pick for top side, and they made it a neutralizing pick instead, because if the Xin Zhao wants to play for top, well, you're now playing double AD into a Malphite, which means he can just stack up on the armor. So from an early game point of view, before we even get into the intricacies of the team fights in between them, this is going to be a very slow game because Seraph and Corki goes quite even despite Seraph outranging him. And obviously, Xin Zhao does have a little bit better of a gangplank path in the early game in terms of getting a kill. And down towards the bot side, it is just an AD carry with an enchanter, so not the highest kill pressure.
No, it's all about wave control there for, honestly, quite a lot of the particular mid and bot lanes. And I've got to call it out as well. My eyes are going to be on Sahira because this is another Xerath pick into Corki specifically. We saw a near thing with one of those Xerath, but even then, I've not been that impressed with the Xerath in lane versus the Corki. I don't know whether that's just people missing skill shots or...
No, I see. That was what I thought in the beginning as well, but it also comes down to the fact that Corki builds 80 in the beginning, so your auto attacks will have more value as well. Seraph's abilities are just not going to come out as often, and his auto attacks, they're not going to have the same value as the Corki. So while, yes, that you can do stuff like this that we're seeing right now, when it comes down to playing the lane, Corki is still going to be able to take control of the lane before the Seraph. It's purely out of lane matchup. At least that's what I think from what we've seen in the NLC so far.
All right, well, we'll keep our eyes on it. We'll see how that works and see how good Tempt's dodging shoes are this game. He's going to have to make sure he's dancing a solid foxtrot because there's going to be a lot of lightning bolts thrown at him courtesy of Xerath. Still, eyes on Noodle as well, one of those junglers that has been involved in pretty much every kill he possibly can in the early game in the NLC thus far.
Yeah, but both junglers have just been, you know, not mimicking, rather having opposite mirroring. That's thank you.
I've got you, mate.
I'll keep that one. The jungle pathing here with Noodle up towards the top side, Haru down towards the bottom side, and there's, once again, just not a lot of lanes to play for. Actually, Sahiro not having the best day right now, and will just be forced to TP, so this is going to be great. Tempt can push in the mid wave, can just recall and move back to lane without having to worry about expanding a TP of his own. Haru getting some early intel down. Okay, your camps are not up. I can just go for a ward and then I can recall if that's what I'm looking for.
Got to call out a little bit of an adaptation here for Tempt as well on the Corki because he's gone for the first strike and he's gone for the minion dematerializers to try and control the wave a bit more as well. But edge into what you mentioned earlier, because that wasn't something we saw in the other Corkis that play into the Xerath. And I wonder whether that's a bit of an adaptation, having seen what's going on with the Xerath that's become a little bit more common
that's a really good pickup by you. I think that's exactly what he's done it for. So brilliant job at scouting that one as well.
Thank you.
Also, Stopwatch is great in terms of dodging out the backline damages that come out. Some of the down... I know there's not a lot of downside with Stopwatch, but in situations where you get caught off guard and you use Stopwatch, the enemies are still going to be around you. But if you can use your Stopwatch to dodge out on the last arcane missile of the Seraph, Barrage, rather, or the Jhin damage, well, then that's going to be great.
Ow, Nata taking a very nasty chunk there. The slow from this Glacial Jana causing some trouble, and Noodle was wrapping around there to see whether there was a gank available, but nothing happens. Kevo did burn heal, interesting there, trying for the speed up, I think.
That was because Noodle came around, but once again, great ward that came in from Haru in the early game from his early path in, really setting up the bot lane. So what Nata and Kassingtrotz could do there was completely crash the wave, go for a recall themselves on the cannon wave and make sure that was going to be a good spot for them when they came back. Unfortunately, they were not able to do that, but they still had to recall because Haru was on the other side of the map. And that's one of the downsides you get when the junglers are not mimicking each other and one of them is playing for bot side and the other one isn't.
Okay, so that has been fairly interesting set, a little bit of pathing there. Of course, that gank getting warded off because of Haru's put ward, as you mentioned. Good stuff there. And just staying stable. Honestly, X7, pretty happy with that. Level 6 has come through for the likes of Hecarim, Malphite, Gangplank as well, of course, and maybe things get a bit more exciting on the Rift.
But this is exactly how the game should go so far, because the laning phase, it's just been neutralized. As you already said, good adaptations from X7 as well. The few points of attack you had on Vanir, kind of not a point of attack any longer. Now, down towards the bottom side.
The moment we talk about it, action begins. Quixis in so much trouble when it's just first blood over to Nata. He tries to step forward. Noodle's not there in time. Look who else around, though. It's Haru, who's now dueling with Noodle, who is doing a lot of damage here. Those rampages doing so much work. Devastating charges available. Haru gets another kill. So much for not being able to play out the jungle 1v1. Haru proving exactly why he has one of those Ezreal skills for being a world champion. The zap just goes wide. And not enough HP to continue. But oh my god, Haru is so fast. He's going for it. Charge. Quixis has respawned, though. And manages to keep cover in one piece just about.
At first, I actually liked the pathing as well from Noodle because he skipped out on his camps on topside to surprise the bot lane of X7. They expected him to be topside because that's where the camps respawned. But the fact that Quickset went too far forward allowed Nata to get the reset, allowed them to play around with the momentum until Haru appeared, and they just sealed the deal for themselves there. So it was a good play in theory, but execution of it just faltered a little bit there.
Okay. Now to see whether Vanir can respond a little bit here. They've lost a couple kills towards that bot side, which is not what you wanted to see when you said keeping things stable. They're going to get the Drake here, hopefully straight.
And this would be really ideal. The thing with Corki is that every time he has package, they just pick up the objective for themselves around the Drake, and they just start the stacking, and you have to respect the package every single time. So picking up the first Drake here as Noodle over the wall is actually brilliant, and it buys yourself 5 extra minutes because your composition, it's not supposed to work in the laning phase. It's supposed to work outside of lane.
And here's the replay again. Quixis just gets eviscerated.
It is unfortunate. He's stepping too far forward. He wants to set up Noodle before he comes through in the river, making sure that Nata cannot back up in time. But the problem is that you just step too far forward. At best, you could have tried to force the flash of Nata instead. Now, he did flash, but it was offensively to get a kill. So definitely not the situation you wanted.
And now you've got to be a little bit afraid that if you do step too far forward again and Kassin gets a polymorph, there's Chompers put behind you, there's not really much of a way out then. Just throwing some more of those tornadoes to try and buy a little bit of space. And going to be X7 with a relatively healthy gold lead in the early game, and level 6s have come through for the junglers and solo laners, and that means that maybe there's a few more triggers to be pulled here if X7 want to do so, especially considering the Herald will be spawning pretty shortly as well.
Exactly. You can see Temp going for recall now. I don't actually know if he has any package to pick up, but he now when the Drake has gone over to the side of Vanir, he could try and take the package for the Rift Herald instead, and that is indeed what he is going to do. Now, that doesn't mean his timer is going to be synced out with the next Drake, which is something you can play for as Vanir. So I wonder if they could try and attack the bot lane in this instance, because I just don't feel like they're going to be winning out on the top side, but seems like they want to prioritize trying to sniff them out here at least.
Haru just goes and picks up the honey fruit to keep his HB bar topped up. Jaeger gets the roam down, and there's going to be no contest for
I would love if they used the package to change the blue buff here, but it looks like they're going for the mid lane actually instead.
Jaeger is here. Remember, he's got the unstoppable force here. He could just keep going. Noodle has to smite that away. He's in so much trouble. Has to burn the ultimate. It's just not going to keep him alive, and Noodle is 0-2 and 0. As Tempt gets a solo kill in mid. Xerath falling apart in this lane.
Yeah, my apologies. I was casting the minimap while you were casting the actual game, so I was like, oh, it looks like Tempt is packaging in the mid lane, because I was just looking at the minimap. But they just get the blue buff for themselves. They get the Rift Herald.
Oh my
quick set, no flash.
He gets put the other side. The fear of this horse as comes through a chilling smite, completes a 3rd kill for Haru.
So remember when I said I wanted Vanir to try and attack bot lane because I see no way they can win on the top side? And that was kind of what I meant there, and why I meant that. Now, let's see how Sahira actually gets killed here. Is it because Valkyrie is still up and he just dives in?
Yeah, pretty much. The Eye of Destruction misses, and he gets hit with a big one and dies.
Oh, well, looked very simple, and once again, we talked about the Seraph into Corki. We were not fully convinced the first day, and I gotta say, I'm still not getting more convinced the more I see it.
This is perhaps one we need to start throwing at the players and see whether they have some answers, because maybe we're missing something here. Maybe we're not quite getting this right. Maybe it's just, Tempt being really good is another option. Let's be real, he is a phenomenal player, and he's going to make a lot of matchups perhaps not play out as you would expect. Either way, it's a significant CS and gold lead for the Corki. 3-0 on your Hecarim, who's got a Rift Herald. X7 ready and willing to continue to snowball this game.
I think for Vanir, it's just about stabilizing now, because as you rightfully said, they are just ahead on X7 now. I'm holding my breath a little bit, because I wanted to see Noodle
I know.
was looking for anything himself. due to the nature of they're ahead of goal right now, they should be in a better position once this Drake starts spawning, and they should be the one in control in terms of taking care of the vision. So you should just be trying to look to get whatever you can on the other side of the map. Camps, scuttle, pressure on top side, whatever it is you can get right now where it doesn't cost you anything, significantly try and go for it.
Not Onslaught of Shadows, not quite available yet, but Haru is still going to be coming on down here, seeing whether there's something available. Remember, there's the Herald in inventory and only 3 plates on this bot lane turret, so nice prize for X7 should be able to get the Herald charge down appropriately.
But when they spot Noodle up here, Jaeger should just be able to run away, and now Tempt, he should be able to push in the mid lane, move down towards the bot side, and then they can, realistically speaking, just fret for a tier 2 turret. Like, who's going to stop you from keep pushing this lane?
Yeah, Nata's going to come over here, and a Jinx with a turret is not going to make it last very long at all. They get the turret, and Noodle giving away his position there in an attempted gank gives X7 all the license they need to do this as Tempt Valks away from the Eye of Destruction, and nothing more to be said.
Here we go. Can they get the second charge off? And it's not gone yet.
It's not yet. It's got a bit stuck up in the wave, and I wonder whether there's an option here for a kill. Going to try and get it as Tempt's in danger. Remember, there's not a lot of mana there. I don't think he's got quite enough for a Valkyrie to have to flash, but there's a wild growth. And now the damage afterwards is going to be so obscene. Forces the Crescent Guard. And without the mana to be able to Valkyrie forwards, Noodle will surely get out alive.
Rocket!
Oh my God, Jinx gets it with the super mega death rocket. But that's going to be Kasing stunned up. Won't quite be enough to finish him up. And X7, that was just styling on him.
Yeah, that was some spoilers for Arcane right there if you haven't seen the last episode. And Quickset now does have the flash. Oh, never mind, doesn't have the flash.
You're between 2 turrets, but just leave him alone. Let him back.
Well, that is definitely unfortunate. Let's have a look at the replay once again, because I do think it's a good attempt at a gank here in the mid lane. This will for sure force out a flash. You can see barely mana on Tempt. But then Kasing with an early recall to be out of the map earlier than the opponent's support is just beautiful, and it's setting it up quite nice with Powder hitting it from downtown.
You can hear Sting's vocals from here. What could have been for Vanir, not going to be happening in this game. 0-6 down in kills, down 5,000 gold. The turret's dead. They've just lost another dragon there, or rather, the second dragon, rather. And they've got to stabilize now, because Vanir's early game has often been a real point of strength, and their mid game's been a bit shaky. Down in the early game, coming into mid game, that's making me nervous.
And look at this. Jaeger's actually decided to stick around just because there's no need. He's down in bot, and yeah, that is just going to force out a flash.
We'll force the flash. There's the cannon barrage as well. It's going to get a heal out of Nata as well, who's slowed down here, and maybe they can keep chasing this, but they just don't have enough follow-up, and maybe Kevo can step forward and get something, but unlikely.
Here's the next in line, though. You just blew flash on your Jhin here, and here's Haru. He has the ultimate. He's got Chem Tank.
Kasing's here as well. I think Vanir are in a spot of bother. They've got some teleports, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough. Prepare your engines. Charge goes the Hecarim. Onslaught of Shadow secures 1. The Arcane Barrage not quite enough to secure Nata because of a nice wild growth from Kasing. They get the kill, they get out, and Quickset is dead for the 3rd time this game.
Not only that, they also forced the Gangplank teleport, so that is no longer in the inventory of the side of Vanir, trying to equalize in the mid lane, but Tempt respecting his opponents quite nicely.
And this is an X7 that is giving away a lot less than we've seen over the last few games. They had a back and forth game with Bifrost. They've had a game where they were behind versus M&M, and this time they just don't want to give up any edges, it feels. Solidly in control, no deaths, very aware of how they're playing.
Who would have known? If you don't die on the 3rd wave in bot lane, the game becomes easier to play. I think Kasing said that beautifully himself in the interview as well we had with him. So yeah, it feels more like we get to see what X7's strengths are as well when they're outside of laning phase, because it's not just the fact that they're great players in lane, it's the fact that they're great players out on the map as well. And in terms of shot calling, in terms of macro, the way they're playing, not only just in terms of attacking, but also in terms of the people who's playing on the back end then. They'll always make sure that it's difficult for the enemy to try and equalize with a cross map.
Absolutely, and they are a talented bunch of players. We've seen them play a little bit loose, a little bit happy, looking for the outplays. Zhonya's first Leona, yet may I remind you one more time from Kasing. And it was great to watch, but you can see clearly it went a step too far. They dropped the game. They weren't happy about it in this game. It's just been all X7 all day. They'll pick up a second Herald. and continue trying to snowball.
Yeah, but I don't think that Vanir should be able to, once again, fight for this one.
No.
There's package on temp, and I'm not sure if you want to go for this one.
They're on Noodle. Are you sure they're going to get teleported behind? And remember, that's just not a regular teleport. That is a Malphite coming through, who's thinking about going even further over onto the back onto that Janna. Super Mega Death Rocket secures the kill. There was no Monsoon. And instead, it's Jaeger that proves the natural disaster, claiming another
Happy
kill.
feet.
Gonna try and get some more as the flash forward from Nata secures another. It's a double for the Jinx. 10 kills to none in this game. Herald summoned immediately mid.
A brilliant movement from Jaeger. I actually think he was not hit by a single skill shot there as well. And then Herald in the mid lane, as we just mentioned. It's just like, Vanir, play for the late game with your comp.
Oh,
you just don't win on these exchanges.
No, not like this. He might finally die. Jaeger
that's
does
brilliant.
actually go down.
He might get two.
They get two. Okay. X7 overextend. They're looking for the AD carry.
All right, we have some instances right now on X7 giving over the 2 first deaths. Harry down towards the bot side with Nila.
Yeah, he's going to force a teleport out from Sahira, who's to save his top lane. Of course, use the cannon barrage there to help secure a kill on the overdive towards the top lane tier 2, and we'll get a replay.
And it's you see how good it is of the X7 as well. The fact that bot lane is fully pushed in, so even if they wanted to push for it, there's nothing they can get on the other side of the map. It's why they're put in this situation where they want to go for the team fight. You can argue this is a bit too far forward from the side of X7, but you know, with Jaeger's movement like this, okay, he did get hit by one. But that was everything.
Everybody gets one, but that's about it. And then at this point, it looks like it's kind of done. They've got the win, and they stick around trying to be cheeky catching camo.
And you know, one thing I really like in this instance it's the Corki build. It's the fact that it's a poke Corki against a composition you can't auto-attack. Too many times am I seeing Corkis that cannot auto-attack go shield bow. You go shield bow when you can auto-attack your enemies. When you're against enemies where you cannot hit your auto-attacks, you go poke. It's that simple. I see people not do it all the time, and I'm glad to see Temp do it.
Clip it, ship it, send it all to all your teammates in solo queue, because Professor Heimerborg has spoken once more. No, I won't. I will absolutely not. Like, that's an NLC staple at this point. You're stuck with that title. You agreed to the segment. It's on you.
No, that segment was made without my consent. And the graphic was made without my consent. I logged on the first time, and they had just made that graphic.
All I'm saying is there is the Lollipoppy competition that goes around on the internet every year on the birthday of that
that's
skin.
Going to be me now?
Yes, absolutely. I'm just suggesting you just find the best ways to Photoshop Goldborg's face to every champion you can. It's going to be glorious, guys. I'm there. Hell, I might even fund it. Just get it happening.
All right. Positives, they're picking up bounties on the side of Vanir right now. They picked up their first turret, although they are still a good amount of gold down in the deficit. And Nila is forced to TP out for his little trade.
Okay. Noodle does try and get onto the Corki. I'm not sure he wins that one. That's a lot of damage through, and Temp can't quite get the kill. Big shutdown going through onto Noodle. Oh.
And here's Nata trying to get the rest of them.
360 headshot from the AD carry. It's Rust. It's a Rust 1v1 at this point. 1v3 was not quite available. At the moment I said X7 were playing clean.
Hey, this is brilliant. X7, they just made a lot of screw-ups there, so this is actually giving them some time to pick up some resources on the map, make sure they can get some buffs for themselves, finally push out the lanes a little bit, and just take it slow. Remember...
Oh, Sahira.
No.
You can't be there. There's no flash. There's no hope. There's no way out. It's a 2v1. He lands a shocking orb. He lands an Eye of Destruction, and Haru's not even burning an ultimate yet. Quicksets will come over, but remember, you go unstoppable as the Hecarim. You're charged back. You go down 5-0-1 on the Herald of War.
It is unfortunate, especially when you have to face the Hecarim with Lulu, with the Whimsy as well to give you the extra movement speed. It's just not nice. He's got Ghost, he's got Face Rush, he's got Chemtang, he's got Deadman's Place. What I'm trying to say is this horse, rather, I'm speaking Danish there.
I'm happy to learn, but maybe not on cast.
Well, horse is called Hest, so there you go.
One thing I have learned today, aside from the fact that Haru was still good, and Jaeger just being obnoxious. Just over here throwing seismic shards at every jungle camp you can to make Noodle's life hell. So, we have ourselves 20 seconds until Baron spawns and 3 minutes till Ocean Drake spawns. And my question to you is, do X7 play it safe and stable, or do they continue trying
I'm sorry,
to be...
but I do think they have to try and contest this somehow. This is where you're like, okay, let's bring the ultimates
Yes.
together. Let's bring Oxodia. Let's collect our Power Rangers together for the ultimate robot and try and make it move. Because you got 2 AD carries. One of them is a Corki with a package, and they can just start up this. Like, there's nothing stopping them.
Look
And if
at
you
that
don't stop
vision.
it, they're just going to be sieging you down in the mid.
Completely true. There's the cannon barrage out, and normally that would be enough to dissuade people from Baron. But look at Temp. He's just over the wall. He's got 2 items with that Muramana transformation. And Nata and Haru are taking absolutely no damage right now. The package comes across and lays down a "you shall not cross" line. Baron comes down the floor with lava. Noodle is dead as well, and he's been eaten for dinner. I know Nongshimmer in the LCK, but that's looking more like a snack than the name of that particular noodle brand. Quixith gonna get run down to boot as well. Nata won't quite get the kill as yet, and it is Haru who picks up his 6th. Jaeger unstoppably forces himself in forwards even further. Sahira just about able to escape for now. The barrel chain's not bad. Jaeger saved by that flame choppers, has to get the heal out of Nata as well, but now they're corralled by this tier 2 in top. The rockets are landing, and there's no way out of this artillery. Temp gets another. It's a double for the Corki. He goes golden. Kevo's going to put down a trap, going to get a root, but he's not going to take any tower aggro. They'll teleport back in and get this tower. X7 on an absolutely brutal series of plays.
Yeah, luckily the death timers are still fairly short, so I don't think we'll be looking at any end right now, but we are looking at the last turrets getting taken down, and they're not even going to reset. They're going to continue.
Okay, they played the early game clean, and now they're just styling on people. Tempt gets his 6th. It's a rampage for the Corki, and you can hear the Ride of the Valkyrie starting right now. Flash from Nata. The exhaust comes out. Quixith goes golden. Kevo's got a 4th shot, but it will in fact be his first death. He goes down. It's an 8th for X7, and whatever you may say, Goldborg, they're looking to end.
Yeah, I was going to say, now they can end, looking like it. So, yeah, very decisive game from the side of X7. I think they should just be able to equalize on the last 2 Nexus turrets here and take care of the game, unless Nilla can do anything with the barrels.
It would have to be a miracle. It would have to be some god tier play. It's an onslaught of shadow forwards again, and the Light Brigade gets this win. No cannons, no artillery setup can stymie this Hecarim. They'll get a wild growth, but that is it as they're on to the Nexus. And X7 put Monday's game behind them and dominate in 22 minutes for their 7th game of the season.
Is it
But
gone?
wait, my gaze.
Okay, there we have it.
Okay, I got nervous. I shouldn't have been nervous. They get the win.
Low HP bars, but they do still get the Nexus. And yeah, once again, I like the ideas of the drafting point of view we see from the side of Vanir as well, but they were too reckless in the early game. They tried to contest X7 on too many objectives, and objectives, that's where the composition of X7 kind of, excelled, where you just put everything in the backline and just kill them.
Yeah, and Haru, this guy, has a phenomenal game. He tried so hard on Monday to try and get that Lee Sin working and couldn't quite get the clutch plays in the late game.
Yeah.
Today, it was just his from the moment he gets that kill onto Noodle bot lane and just runs him over. It's not even like a Divine Thunder build. He just goes tank and no one can murder him.
No, but I also think it was just, once again, great adaptation. Getting that Malphite down made it hard to have one winning lane for the side of Vanir. So they had to just play back end, just kind of try and scale. Once they got that first Drake, I thought that was very good for them. But then, in the end, they just weren't patient enough.
Absolutely not. And X7 continue to be an excellent team. They'll move back towards the top of the standings, and we'll be throwing to a break, and we'll be back soon.